Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to be learning about domain subjects. Now, domain data is a very weird thing to explain. I don't want to say it's business data because it doesn't matter what it is. It's just that domain data is what you are modeling. Like I had said, reference data or languages are reference data. We would just have a realm, class, family, type. But if I'm a company who cares about the etymology behind languages, where they're used, all these regions, how long were they alive, how often do they change, that becomes my domain data. So domain data is really what you are interested in. And the difference between our normal realm, class, family, type, and domain subjects won't make sense until the next video when we get into shared attributes. So really quick video, we're going to do data and code because everything is basically set up from all the previous videos. And we're going to create a couple of domain subjects today. So I will see you soon. All right, because we have so much code in place, this addition of domain, like the concept of domains, very easy. So the first thing that we do is we need to add a new row to subject family and subject type. Now, subject family is what told us, this was a to relationship, this was an RCFT, that sort. So we're going to add a new row called domain. And when I added that row, I got a 4 as my returned family ID. So during the series, I don't remember when I did it, but it appeared that I had already added a subject type of group and people with the abbreviation GRP and people, or PEO. And I had actually had it under RCFT, but I never had a subject attached to it. So I had to just update the subject type's subject family ID to the new domain. So that will effectively link it under a domain. So group is a domain, the group type is a domain or under the domain family, the people type's under the domain family. So for the data sets was also very easy. I added a new dataset type called base domain with the key name of domain, just like what we've been doing for all these abstract table concepts. I had to create a new abstract table concept under the appropriate class. And for the data set table, I went and copied the base for RCFT, just like base domain, because a domain is essentially the same thing as an RCFT, except, like I said, the next video, the shared attributes, is what really separates the two. So, because of these similarities, I was also able to take our templated data points from that base RCFT, including the parent abbreviations, everything. Everything's the same. So I just copied that data, which was dataset ID 275 for me, pasted it below, and updated the dataset ID and put it back in the table. It was really that simple essentially we can create our domain data now, except for I needed to make one modification to a procedure. And this is kind of where the code the making atomic code is beneficial. So the issue, and I saw this coming, we have two file group namers, or two things to get the file group name back or generate it. And the difference between the two is that the dataset definition had an in if it's in shared base, and I would have had to add domain and say or subject family key name is dimension. But in the subject dataset type, it was not in realm, class, family, type, and not dimension. And this is way better. It would be way better to create a relationship and then peg the relationship so we never have to come in here and do code or create code. But this is a lot easier to deal with. Like these will always be reference, and domains will always be the subject type name. So what I did was I just took this line, this when, and added it to I know it looks like 3, but this is the dataset definition file group name function. And I just added it here. Commented out the other one just so I could show you what it could have been. And that was the only modification that I needed for the domain to be able to create domains. So then it was as simple as adding 2 subjects with the new domain, or 2 subjects with the new subject type, 2 for group, 4 for people, because like I said, I guess I already had it in there. And I had to spin up a new database. So this is our data database, and I will go into SQL to show you that. It's really funny. It took us, 40 videos just to create a second database. And now we're going to create, or a third database, and now we're going to create a fourth one just a couple videos later. So the spin up was easy. Create data as the database. Make sure there's a reference, group, and people, and relationship, file group, and files on it. Because this is, our domain's always going to get its own file group system, and reference and relationship are going to be very common and something that we need. So then I had to do this again. This is on my list. I have to not do this. This is a pain in my butt. So how I do it is basically I have all 4 of them. I run it so it's archive, and then I comment it out, run it so it's snapshot, comment this one out, run it, I just go backwards. But what that did was on our database, or on our data main, we have domains. So now that we have a group domain, actually, I should do this because this is very important. Oh, darn it. The group is a very special domain. And what's this? Tenant 1. Okay. 10. Hopefully, yeah, should have built everything on there. Owner. Yes, works. So the group, every single table that we had has a tenant ID, and that group tenant ID is basically groups are just groups. They're just this abstract concept of a container. Well, we're going to use this container to contain data all over our system. We're going to use this container to be customers or groups within customers. Like, all this stuff really doesn't matter. At this point, we're just trying to think of these abstract concepts. This is when it gets really hard to explain. I apologize. Let's say I want to import a random company in here, or FEC data. I want to go get federal election data. So federal election data, I'll download that data, and I'll create a new group that says federal election data. And I'll have a group type that is more descriptive than owner all the way down, because owner is a very specific, there's a 1 right here. This is the group ID tenant. This is kind of where the circle begins. So I would create a new group for the FEC application, and then a new group under it for, whatever I wanted. So you always create a root group for any sort of customer, application, whatever, and the root group is always owned by group ID 1. And group ID 1 is the system. It is us. It is the owner of the system, if I could spell system right. And that's kind of why I'd never put foreign keys on the group ID tenant, because the group ID tenant has to be a group ID. We're going to create that key here, so we're going to force that constraint. But everything in data requires a tenant ID, so you can't put any records in the group table to get your first tenant, because the realm requires a tenant and the class requires a realm, and that whole cyclical relationship. It all begins with the group. And now we are in a position to do whatever we want as soon as we get shared attributes up. So it's crazy to think that here we are. The first series I made doing this, we are right back in that position, except for we are in a way better spot with way better tools. And look for all the new series coming out on SQL, Python, bots, extraction of data, analytics, machine learning, everything, because I am almost ready. But that is it for this video. All you had to do was run the create subject again for the two groups that we had created, two domains. Make sure everything is ran, both the unassigned and then the history archive snapshots. Maybe generate your versioning procedures. But here we are. Thank you again for watching. And remember, like this video and YouTube will recommend it to other users in our industry, and subscribe to support me. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.